Go ahead.
Excellent. Welcome all. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please look at Dr. Card's screen where he has a flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent, thank you. We have a very short agenda tonight. We actually have one item on the agenda tonight, and it is in relation to the budget adoption, which was adopted previously at a board meeting, but in light of the state providing additional funds to all districts, including our district, and I will say supposedly shall provide additional funds because we've played this game with them before. Dr. Pizzo and Dr. Card and the budget committee has gone back to figure out what we can do by way of whether or not a change was necessary to the budget now that these additional funds are coming. So the way we're going to do this is our normal way. So would someone like please make a motion to adopt the general fund appropriated budget proposition 1 to fund our schools, programs, and facilities, as well as tax report card for the 2021-2022 school year in the sum of $218,857,635. Ms. Tell, second. Ms. Napolitano. Any discussion? I think that's a great idea. We should have a discussion. Dr. Pizzo, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you've provided some information to the board in advance, which we've reviewed, but I'd like you to go through it with us, for us. Let's discuss what has changed from the initial budget that we voted on to what the change is today and what that's going to mean if we adopt it.
Okay, let me just getting everything squared away on the screen. I have the two screens going here. So, okay, so we have up on the screen what we have going from left to right. You first we have this current year's budget, followed by the budget that we had discussed and put forth on the 7th of April. And then all the way to the extreme right, we have what we're looking to do tonight. When we did the presentation and we talked about the revenue, keep in mind that it was less than 24 hours before that presentation that the state had changed pretty drastically some of the what our expectations were, and what we received were different, because it was different than the governor's initial run. So what we did originally is we had kind of shifted around money, because as Mr. Melnick indicated, this is something for this year. It is any promises in the future are of course something that we have to be very cautious about, as we've lived through the Gap Elimination Act and also DRA, which came before that. But for this year, with this influx, there was some adjustments made that resulted in the following presentation. If you look at some of the areas to look at, would be right across the top. I put the actual expense budget from this current year, what we had, 217,639, and where we are now. You'll see where we are now. It's increased by 1.2 million, a little bit over 1.2 million, and that is to capture some items, some items that are very important that we now have an opportunity to address. So we did look to capture that here, and that is the reason for the total on the expense budget. There were many items that we're going to be able to address. These are high need areas that we've discussed before. And it's going to be going into our budget in a couple of different areas, and it'll also be able to address other issues we have that we've discussed in the past. So that is, if you're looking right along that very top line, that's where that 218 is from, that increase. Now, if you're looking at the levy, you'll see that the levy is adjusted, and what's been adjusted in the levy is our allowable levy is still 1.88. And that was what was approved on the 7th. That doesn't change the allowable limit, but what can change is we do have the ability to assess lower than what our allowable cap is. So what we have done is we've adjusted down beneath that absolute cap a figure of 1.5%. Now, what 1.5% is? That is what you and me and all the other taxpayers are paying. That is the increase to the levy amount. So levying at a lower amount, this is money over $500,000 that will not be assessed to our taxpayers to reflect some of this additional money coming in state aid that is really made up for some long-term deficiencies, but it is a benefit that we could and it is prudent to share with our taxpayers when we have the opportunity to do so. Some of the other items that you can look at is if you look at with the appropriated fund balance, you'll see that the numbers don't. You can see the numbers changed a little bit. Remember, I said that we were kind of just still going through the numbers. One of the things that we determined is one of the items that was line item is actually coming in from the special aid fund. It's not coming in as general aid. So that's changing what the appropriated fund balance is from what was declared the last time, which was candidly expected because of how quickly we had to make our calculations and really understand what the true intent was. It's still being interpreted to this day by many. And what we've done now is when we have that budget capturing these additional items, and we have the levy then on the other side coming down, that is then going to have our appropriated fund balance go up. But it is still, because of the additional funds from the state, it's now at a very manageable level. And that's something that you see reflected under the appropriated fund balance. So those are really the main moving parts with that. And I hope I summarized it in a way that's easy to follow. It's kind of a lot of different numbers coming around. But ultimately what it comes down to is we're going to be able to get additional work done, which is great. And we're going to be able to support our partnership with the taxpayers by assessing less, like I said, over $500,000. So it's something that is it a benefit for the district, a benefit for the students, and a benefit for our taxpayers and for our needs going forward. So it really is a win-win in regards to what we're able to do, with still having prudent planning going forward into the future. We'll still be able to our long-term plan is still protected by this.
Very good. Could I add something? One of the reasons why you see an increase in our expense budget is because, given the allocation from the state, we were able to set aside funds that would provide us with an opportunity to do those things that we could only do because we've received those additional funds. Similar to what we did this past year, the only difference is we didn't have the funds to do it. Next year, since the state has been so, and I'm afraid to use this word, generous, we're able to add to our technological infrastructure, in that we're looking at expanding and enhancing our student management system, as well as expanding and revamping our website. So those are some of those one-shot deals that we'll be able to take care of as a result of this budget. In addition to that, since I've been here over the past several years, there's always been this issue related to screens on Windows. And so rather than piecemealing it over the next several years, we'll be able to accomplish that in one shot as a result of this change to the budget. That is really critical, given the fact that most windows have to remain open to add additional ventilation in classrooms. And since the weather is changing, one of the things that we're hearing is that bees are buzzing around, and we want to make sure that when we come back in the fall, that does not continue. So I applaud the work of Dr. Pizzo and Ms. Fresenda in terms of really helping us to look at what was coming in from the state and making adjustments that would benefit us as a district for next year and long into the future. The good news is that increase that you see will not exist next year because it's a one shot. In other words, our expense budget will remove those things for next year and we'll be in a sound financial position.
Thank you, Dr. Gardner. And Dr. Pizzo, I want to thank you and Ms. Fresenda and everyone else who worked on this. For those of you who don't know, the budget process starts basically in June of every year for the following year. It is a year-long task that Dr. Pizzo and Ms. Fresenda and Dr. Cardin and the rest of the budget committee have gone through over the course of the year. And we finalized it and we voted on it, and then we asked them to go back and fix it at the very last minute. So thank you for all your very hard work in doing that. And just as Dr. Card said, the items that we're using this money for are one-shot items, but are long-term items. So it's not one shot for next year and then that's it. You know, such as, for instance, those screens will last for many years to come. So I believe good use of those funds and good use of taxpayer funds, more importantly. Are there any board members who have questions or comments? Ms. Napolitano?
I'd just like to thank Dr. Pizzo and everyone who worked on the budget. You know, it's a nice surprise when the kitty is a little bit fuller for us to be able to do these additional projects for the community. So thank you again for your hard work. And we are a very lucky district that we're able to be in the financial soundness that we are in. So thank you.
I say this as a joke, but not really. My daughter thanks you for the screens because the bees are a constant complaint.
Screens are important, definitely. Important project.
Any
Also,
other?
thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, same thing. Thank you. I think it's great that not only do we get to do these projects, but importantly, we are saving taxpayers money on top of that. So having a lower tax levy and being able to do more is a significant accomplishment. And so I'd like to thank the whole team for working together on behalf of not only the kids, but also the taxpayers, of which most of us here are. And I'm sure the community will appreciate that. So thank you.
Okay. If there are no other board member questions or comments, go ahead, Dr. Park.
Let me make a comment before we move on, because I know we have the public watching. There's about 40 people in attendance, and some may be wondering, what does that universal pre-K mean? And what does that close to $1 million set aside mean? We don't know. No, I'm just kidding. We are currently working that out. As a matter of fact, Dr. Casamento, myself, and Dr. Pizzo will be attending a presentation on May 5th by Scope as it relates to universal pre-K. As we get more information and think about what's possible, we will be presenting that to the Board of Education and to the public so that everyone in district knows where we're heading in terms of a longer, more extended universal pre-K program in the district.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and just to touch on that, that was added at that same time as very late. So that is very new. And I know board members have reached out to me, and I've spoken to Dr. Card, and none of us really know what this means right now. More particularly, what it means not for next year, but the year after. Is there going to be another $900,000? Because if we're having universal pre-K, that's an ongoing thing, and that's not going to be something that was in our budget previously to be able to continue. So if we, you know, we are good at planning and making sure that we do things the correct way. So that is what will be done, and I look forward to Dr. Casamento and Dr. Card bringing their plan to the board as to what that will be moving forward. And if there is nothing else, let's all in favor. And I'm going to call you out, even though we're on Zoom. I think it will be best that way for those who aren't live. Ms. Baruch,
Yes.
Dr. Eckers,
Yes.
Ms. Tell,
Yes.
Ms. Napolitano,
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Luce, Ms. Benowitz,
Yes.
and with me is 7. So 7-0. Thank you. So this was really good work. I think this was really good for our community and our kids, which is nice when we could hit both at the same exact time. And with that, are there any closing board member announcements or comments? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Ms. Baruch, second Dr. Eckers, all in favor? We'll do that one by hand. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.